Hey everyone, I'm Ron Todd, a professional YouTuber who makes professional videos. First off, I just want to say pardon my mess here. I went weird over the weekend. I got out a bunch of old Lego sets. Anyone remember Lego Power Miners? I don't know what you guys are doing out here, but anyone remember Lego Power Miners? It's not the subject of this video, but I, for whatever reason, got like every single one out. It was just in storage, and I got all of them out. So now those are on my floor. But yeah, that's not what we're here to talk about. So, a long time ago on this channel, I made a video about Hot Wheels Battle Force 5 and how it really was one of the biggest aspects of my childhood. And I don't really know how to get into this, but there is this one car, and if you've seen the video, which I don't know if you have, considering it's pretty old, I don't know if you remember it at all, but there was this one car that I can never find as a kid, and its name was the Splitwire. If you've seen Battle Force 5, you know what I'm talking about. In the second season, a couple new guys joined the team. One of them drove Gear Slammer, and the other drove Splitwire. And as a kid, those two were never available in the United States, whereas the other 5 were. I was able to find Gear Slammer as a kid on eBay pretty easily, so I've had Gear Slammer since I was a kid. But it's taken until now, but I finally have it. 10 years I've been looking for this. 10 years I've been looking for this car. And some guy on eBay, thank you to Corey Cresilius from St. Louis, Missouri, for listing this thing on eBay. $150 this one cost me. For the one car, not even in the box, just loose in here. Not sealed, just loose in there. And so, as of today, a 10-year-long chapter in my life is coming to an end. The hunt for Splitwire is finally over. Probably don't know about it all that much, but seriously, I have been actually looking for this thing since I was like 9 years old. So this is going to mean a lot to me when I finally get it open. Of course, I'm not just here to open this, honestly. There are some other things. I got all my old Battle Force 5 cars out, and since the review I did of those cars is pretty dang old, I'm at least going to give a brief overview of them. I didn't want to get out all the little clip-on weapon pieces because they're kind of buried in a closet somewhere. But I don't want to get those out right now, but I at least have the loose cars, and I'm going to kind of go over those, and then I'm going to finally open this. I just got here today. I haven't been holding off on it. It literally just got here like 5 minutes ago. I don't know. But yeah, so we're going to be kind of giving a brief overview of all the Battle Force 5 cars that I own, and also opening up this sucker. So, without further ado, I guess let's just get to it. So, as I said, before we open up, the Splitwire, I'm going to kind of give a brief overview of all the Battle Force 5 cars. Consider this me flexing in a way, considering some of these are quite rare nowadays. Of course, the first wave, I have all the first wave cars because they were available in the United States when I was a kid. So I guess we'll start off with Saber. Saber here, bright red, driven by Vert Wheeler. It's not the same Vert Wheeler as the Accelerator's Vert Wheeler, even though they look the same, and it's not the same as the Infinite Loop Vert Wheeler if you've played that game, which I haven't. But yeah. So this is a kind of a triangular looking car, I guess. Nice metallic red. In the show, the entire front section could extend forward and turn into a giant chainsaw with wheels. Yeah, that's a thing. And the show can also drive upside down, which is something the car can do, the toy can do, which is awesome. Note the mild paint scratching. If you couldn't tell, I loved this car as a kid. I loved all these cars as a kid. Something of note also is that on some of these cars, the paint was scratched. So as a kid, I actually bought touch-up paint from the local hobby store and attempted to kind of fix that. But yeah, it wasn't the best paint job, but I tried my best. So yeah, some of them still have the touch-up paint on them. Some of them don't. He had a little clip-on plastic piece. You can see these holes on the top. It would just go in there. It was supposed to kind of look like the with the little chainsaw extended out. Again, I didn't get those out because they're kind of in deep storage right now, and I don't want to have to deal with that. But yeah, it also got this gold release, which I didn't play with very much as a kid since it wasn't the one from the show. And so this special edition is in almost pristine condition because I never played with it very much as a kid. But yeah, there you go. It came with the same accessories as the regular saber, but in different colors. I just don't want to get it out. But there you go, special edition. There's also a silver one sold in a 2-pack with a DVD, which I had as a kid, but I lost. So yeah. Chopper, it's a motorbike. It's this tiny little motorbike. This one definitely suffers the worst from the abuse. I don't know why the paint scratched off of this one so bad, but yeah, whatever. It's this motorbike looking thing. In the show, it could fly. The blades would kind of, or the wheels would kind of turn into little rotors that would let it fly. The toy can't do that, but you know, you can always pretend. So, yeah, this was driven by the token Asian guy, Zoom Takazumi. That's his real name in the show. Driven by the token Asian guy. There you go. There's the choppers. One of the only motorbikes, actually probably the only motorbike in this lane, or in this line. I say probably because of reasons I'll get to later. Next up is the Tangler ATV. The toy was called the Tangler ATV, but in the show, it was just called the Tangler. So as a kid, I always just called it the Tangler. It's this big thing, 4 wheels, which somehow aren't bent, at least not too bent. This one definitely suffered the least from the paint scratching as a kid, primarily because the body's made out of all plastic. But something of note, this little piece here is actually completely cracked. The metal is cracked clean through, which is interesting. It doesn't mean it really suffers from any structural issues. It's pretty much still completely functional the way it is with the crack. But you know, that's something to note, is that this metal is completely broken. In the show, these little the wheels were on these little arms like this, and they could extend forward to turn into like giant melee weapons. But I mean, yeah, the toy can't do that. But you know, as a kid, you always just do this. That's kind of what it was in the show. You could also climb up walls with shoot. Yeah, these things are kind of antiques now. Jeez. Moving on. The Buster Tank, just like with the Tangler ATV, the toys called it the Buster Tank, but in the show they just called it the Buster. So as a kid, I always just called it the Buster. It has 6 wheels, which is interesting. You can see the paint's mostly gone on this one. Yeah, this is definitely, there's a lot of touch-up paint in these silver areas because it was kind of scratched as a kid. The windshield is completely painted over. In the show, it required 2 people to operate. One would drive and one would operate its weapon system. It had these little maces that would extend out of the top, which the toy comes with. You would open up this and just kind of slide it in there. So that's kind of cool that it acts like the show, because in the show this little thing could shoot up like this. So that's cool. But yeah, Buster Tank. This one's pretty much all plastic, and yeah. Last good guy from the original set is Reverb. No, not the Accelerator's Reverb. This is a different Reverb, driven by Stanford Isaac Rhodes, the British guy. And the show, it lived up to the name Reverb by having Sonic-based ranged weaponry, which I think was really kind of unique. They could have just given them, like, laser cannons or something, but no. They have giant guns come out of the hoods that are, like, weaponized subwoofers. I basically think, like, if Baseline from Acceleracers was weaponized, like, seriously, I think Scirocco would love to drive this thing. R.I.P. Kirby Morrow, you know what I mean. So, yeah. This is another one with a lot of touch-up paint. This black stripe down the middle, that is completely repainted over. But, yeah. And also, it's a brighter purple in the show. I don't know why they made it, like, this dark purple. Same with Saber in the show. It's like a flat red. I don't know why they made it like this metallic-y red. It's weird. Also, I have 2 Reverbs because as a kid, one rolled under the couch and I couldn't find it, so I convinced my parents to buy me another one. And then I found the one that rolled under the couch. So I don't know if this is the one that went under the couch or not, but yeah, I have 2 of this one. And then onto the bad guys. There were two bad guy factions in season one. There were the Sark, which they're not the shark, they're the Sark. If you've seen Acceleracers, they're basically the racing drones, except not menacing in the slightest. But yeah, there were kind of three main Sark characters, but only two of their cars got toys. So there was the big bad Zemmerk, who was like the Galorum of the Sark, except he wasn't as menacing. He was just kind of your generic "I will get you Battle Force 5" kind of villain, and really that's what all the villains in the show were. But whatever. So this is the Zelix. The Zelix, that's the official name of the car. It's kind of like how the racing drones, all their cars were black and green, except it's the same here, except it's black and blue. Or well, this weird shade of blue. It's a much brighter blue in the show. Again, I don't know why they did this. Looks cool, but whatever. Nice and angular and stuff. His weapon were these big spike things that would jet out to the side, made entirely of transparent plastic, and so those broke pretty darn easily. And as with Reverb, I have two of them, because on one of them the weapons completely broke, and yeah, got one of the pegs stuck in the bottom of here. This isn't that one, but I got the peg stuck in the bottom as a kid, and so I convinced my mom to buy me another one. And ironically enough, I kept that one in good shape for a few years, but the weapons recently broke on that one too. Yeah, sucks. And then the other one is the Zentner, which is your generic RDO6 army builder kind of guy, expendable, driven by the Zerk, which were like the mindless drones of the Sark army. And it's a cool looking car. In season 2, they had new versions of this car, which was the same except replaced the blue with red. And in all honesty, I wish they made that as a toy. It's not like a lot of the other season 2 guys, where it exists, but it's extremely rare. It just flat out doesn't exist. And then there was the third member of the Sark forces. There was Zug, who was like your generic dumb muscle. And he drove the Zendrill, which, if you couldn't tell by the name, was literally a drill on wheels. Apparently they wanted it to get a toy, but there are some packaged examples. However, based off of the Hot Wheels wiki, it was never produced, just prototypes and a few packaged samples exist of it. So I don't really intend on owning that. Not having Zendrill as a kid never bugged me the way not having Splitwire did, honestly. And then the other villain faction were the Vandals, which were furries. In all honesty, they were like mutant animal guys. And they kind of had a completely different aesthetic. The Sark were like the racing drones from Acceleracers. Cold, corporate, just kind of really generally creepy. The Vandals had this really cool, like, tribal design to all their vehicles. There were 4 main Vandals in Season 1, but only 2 of them got cars. Apparently the other 2 did get vehicles later, and they were actually produced, but as with a lot of the other cars in this line, they're extremely rare, and again, not owning them never really bugged me as much as not owning Splitwire did, so unless I find them on eBay sometime later, I don't really intend on going to the effort to track them down. So there was the big bad Callus, who drove the Fangor, this cool chariot-looking thing. And as with the Zelix here, I own 2 of them, because that 2-pack within the DVD 2-pack with the Silver Saber I mentioned earlier came with an unchanged version of Fangor, which I find it weird that they made an original deco for Saber in that pack, but then didn't change the Fangor at all. But yet, those 2 didn't come with the little clip-on weapons, so I convinced my mom to buy me another Fangor in the single pack, and it did come with the weapons, which were never weapons I had in the show. A lot of the clip-on weapon pieces in this line were never in the show. Pretty much like Sabers, Busters, Reverbs, and then the Sark. Those were the only guys whose weapons those were the only toys with weapons that were actually used in the show. So, there's that. Anyway, onto this. Yeah, it's this cool chariot-looking thing. Callus was like a big lion dude, which is interesting. And then you have Sever, the shark guy, in his car, the Water Slaughter, which I actually think this is the first one I got as a kid, which is odd considering it's a bad guy car. But yeah, it's just this big shark thing. Apparently, there exists a variant of it to where this blue piece, is transparent. Because I remember on the back of the cards, For each, it would have a cross cell, and it would show this water slaughter with transparent blue. And as a kid, I always just thought it was like a prototype or something. And they changed to this for the final release. But I have seen pictures recently of a clear blue variant of this, which again I don't really intend to track down. But there you go. There was kind of one big playset release. Like there are a few track sets released in Battle Force 5, but like Tankler is too wide to fit on the track. That was always a problem for me as a kid. This one's a motorbike. Really, the only fast cars from this line were probably like Reverb, Water Slaughter, and Zelix. Or not Zelix, Zetner. And the only ones that would be available in track sets were Reverb and Buster. So, yeah. They produced a few like exclusive decos of the other guys and stuff, but I don't have those. They did release kind of the main big playset of this. This was their this wasn't their base in the show, but it was kind of like a secondary mobile headquarters, the Mobius Command Center. This big thing that could store all the cars. But this toy is actually specifically designed to store all the cars, all 5 of the good guy cars. Except, unfortunately, it can't store the two new members, Splitwire and Gear Slammer, which I have Gear Slammer, and as of today, I own Splitwire, which always kind of bugged me as a kid. I have the McDonald's Splitwire, so I would just have Gear Slammer and Splitwire just kind of drive beside them, but that wasn't really fun. The reason why they can't fit it is because this thing's really narrow. Sucks. There's really nothing to do besides store the cars. It splits in half for you to open it. Inside are these little guys. I actually just made these recently. This isn't some stupid thing I did as a kid, even though I don't know why I didn't think about doing this as a kid. There goes... I don't know why I didn't think about doing this as a kid, but I made these little Lego guys with the drivers. As a kid, they did produce larger versions of the cars, which came with driver figures. I had Reverb and Chopper as a kid, and I don't know where those went. I think I still have the figures, but yeah, I don't have the cars anymore. I think so. I don't know why I didn't think about doing this as a kid, but there you go, those little driver guys. I just kind of had those in there. Forgot to take them out before this. But the front half here, you can store Chopper there, Saber there, Tangler here, and Buster here, which has this opening door, and there's nothing to stop Buster from rolling out, so if you roll this forward, he's just going to come out. It has this launcher, which actually, I think this was really cool, is that they made it to when you pull this back, the door automatically opens. I think that's kind of a neat feature. But then you can also open the door without pulling back the launcher, which I think is interesting. Also, it has this little repair tool, which you can take off the side and kind of like pretend to fix your cars with it, which I didn't know it could do that as a kid. I guarantee you that if I knew it did, that would have been really cool. I would have thought that would have been awesome. The back half of it, you push this button on the back, this opens up. It has this little piece here. You have to fold this up in order to connect the two halves. You can put that down as a ramp. And I don't remember if they said that in the instructions or not, but as a kid, I always put Reverb back here because I didn't have space for Reverb in the front. And it also came with this special gray version of Reverb, which, as with the Gold Saber, it's in pretty good shape because I never played with it as a kid. Really, the only other main feature is that it has this big launcher thing, which in the show, it had this like massive rocket launching system. But I was kind of disappointed as a kid to find out it's a net missile. Oh, I just hit the camera with it. That's like right at the camera. That's awesome. It has this stupid net missile, which like 9 times out of 10 would miss its target. Like, what are you going to do once you capture it, man? Like, that's stupid. As a kid, I just wanted firing rockets. I didn't want this stupid net thing. But yeah, there you go. The Mobius Command Center, which it's basically just like a mobile version of their existing headquarters. And so then Wave 2 comes along. Season 2 of Battle Force 5 gets announced. As a kid, I am stoked. I get even more stoked to find out there's new villains and new heroes. Yeah, they weren't Battle Force 5 anymore. They're more like Battle Force 7. And so, obviously, there were the 2 new vehicles, Splitwire and Gear Slammer. There were new villains, the Red Sentients, which are actually menacing, unlike the Sark and Vandals, who really weren't. Well, at the very least, they were actually menacing for like the first 5 episodes, and then they just kind of became laughing stocks afterwards. But whatever, you know what I mean. Uh, and they had the unique ability in season 2 to fuse 2 cars together into one bigger fusion vehicle with upgraded battle capabilities. So, as a kid, I found out they were making new diecast versions of the season 2 guys, and I was even more stoked. I couldn't wait to find that Splitwire and Gear Slammer. Oh, wait. Yeah, for whatever reason, I'm assuming due to poor sales, Wave 2 was never released in the United States. Yeah, that's a thing. So, Gear Slammer, I was able to find on eBay as a kid. You can still find them pretty easily on eBay, due to reasons, I guess. So, Gear Slammer, I was able to find on eBay pretty much. This is the copy I had as a kid. So I do have fond memories of this guy for sure. It was this big off-road rig thing specifically designed to operate in Arctic conditions, which, yeah, pretty much useless outside of that, considering it's, got the big tire tracks and snowplow thing on the front. And in Wave 2, they kind of tried to ditch the clip-on parts. They actually did ditch the clip-on parts, and I guess they tried to go for more moving features, at least from what I can tell. This is literally, apart from Splitwire, which I'm about to unbox, I don't know what that thing is capable of, the only regular car from Wave 2 I own. There's another one I own, but it's not really a car. So, yeah. And in the show, it had this big arm on the back with a drill designed to drill into enemies, and specifically it was designed to drill through a really thick sheet of ice. Which, again, really, they only ever built this thing for one purpose, and after that it was pretty much useless because it only appeared in like a small handful of episodes. Yeah. And according to the online website, it's supposed to have this big grinder blade on the front, which if you kind of pull this down, it's soft plastic. You can kind of see that sculpted underneath, but that was never in the show, so I don't really know how that works. And getting back to this arm, in the show it had this drill, but they insisted the toy had this little hook on the end that you could like switch out whatever weapon you wanted before a mission or something. And I didn't really know what to make of that as a kid, so I kind of pretended as a kid that this thing here, it had a bunch of weapons stored down here below, and it would like pick one up and then attach it to the vehicle while it was driving. But since it didn't really have any weapons in the show besides the drill and like the big ramming plow, I had to make up my own. And given how this was an Arctic-based vehicle, the best I could do was an icicle blaster that attached to the roof. Even though I was able to recently, this piece is removable for whatever reason, I was able to recently create a drill that could go on here, but I probably took it apart. It was a Lego drill that could go on the back. Yeah. But, there's Gear Slammer for you. But yeah, with Gear Slammer, I was 6/5 of the way done with Battle Force 5 as a kid. But, yeah, wasn't, or not 6/5, geez, 6/7 done with Battle Force 5 as a kid, but I wasn't 7/7 until today. There were a bunch of other cars produced. All 5 of the Red Sentients got vehicles, which, apart from the leaders, which I don't have, are extremely rare. There are pictures of it, and there are pictures of it in people's collections, so I know they exist, but they are extremely rare. There's also the Vandals got a new member. He got a car as well, which I saw it on eBay like 6 years ago. So again, I know that exists. I don't own it because I was going to buy it, but then someone else bought it before I could. Yeah. But yeah, I know that exists as well. And yeah, and then there were some others. There was this new neutral character who had a big motorbike, which according to the back of the card backs for guys like Gear Slammer, it does exist. But I've never seen a picture of it apart from a promotional image on the Mattel website in the back of the card, which leads me to assume it was never produced. There have never been any pictures of it outside of the 2 I just described, no packaged samples. I'm just assuming they never produced it. And there are other few weird oddities. There's a version of Chopper out there with red wheels, brand new reverb, Saber and Busters with the weapons permanently deployed. I honestly don't think look half bad. I don't have them because I don't really care as much anymore. But Saber and Reverb are pretty easy to find, the new versions of them. Buster is a little bit harder, but I think I've seen it on eBay at least once. And they produced clear blue versions of the original 5 cars, which when they fused their vehicles for a few seconds, they would turn blue. So I'm assuming that's what it was supposed to be. There was also apparently a version of Zelix with the blades, the weapons permanently deployed, but again, that's pretty rare. And Fangor got a brand new look. It got upgraded in Season 2, so they produced one of that. Again, I've seen it on eBay. I don't own it because I wanted it, but by the time I had enough money, someone else bought it out. But yeah, I have seen that on eBay, so again, I know it exists. But then, for whatever reason, apparently they also reissued just these standard versions without the weapons in Season 2 packaging, I guess. I don't know. It's confusing. And they also produced toys of some of the fusions. I only have one. However, if you look on eBay, you will definitely find at least 3 because they're starting to become super common for some reason. I got this one a few years ago. I raised money at a lemonade stand to have enough money to buy a shock blade here. Imported it from Singapore. Of course, now they're incredibly common, but back then this is really rare. I got it for like 20 bucks. It's a really darn good price. But yeah, this was the fusion between Saber and Splitwire. Had this weird gimmick to where it could like rotate around itself, I guess. You could drive like this. You could rotate it here and drive it upside down. Or it had wheels on the side, so you could do this for some reason. And this part opened up, which I'm assuming is just supposed to be the housing for its main weapon. But who am I to judge? They also made McDonald's toys, which are way more common than the actual versions. So I have a few McDonald's toy fusions, specifically Rigsaw, which is Saber and Gear Slammer, Sonic Slash, which is Saber and Reverb. I lost that one as a kid, and so luckily that's one of the common ones to find on eBay, the actual version of it, not the McDonald's one. Shatterbolt, which is Buster and Splitwire, and I think that was it. And then there was also a couple of the Red Sentient vehicles, and then Splitwire and Gear Slammer, which, yeah, most kids probably had those ones growing up. I lost my McDonald's Gear Slammer as a kid, probably as soon as I got this one. And the McDonald's Splitwire, which is pretty common on eBay, because, of course, that is, yeah, I have like 10 of them, because a few years ago when I was hunting down the die-cast Splitwire, my grandpa was like, I found it on eBay for you, son, and then bought me the McDonald's one, so I have like 10 of them. Yeah, that was when I was like, what, 12, somewhere around there, 11, 12. But, yeah, this has been a 10-year journey. Am I supposed to, like, censor the shipping label or something? I don't know. This has been like a 10-year journey for me. Okay? Keep in mind, what's in this box may not really mean that much to you, but it means a lot to me. This was listed on eBay about a week ago, an auction from wherever. Oh, look, you can see my name. Oh, that's my address. Do you not want to see that? Okay. This was listed like about a week ago. Starting bid $5, final bid $170, counting tax. Yeah, I said I wasn't willing to go above 100, but then some guy max bidded at 150 at the last second as an act of desperation, so I raised the price by a couple bucks just to get it. It's not sealed, it's loose, and it's in alright shape. Apparently some of the paint on the wheels has worn off, but let's face it, I've been looking for this thing for 10 years. I'll accept it just so long as all 4 wheels are there. Like, if it's missing a wheel or something, then no. And so, this is it. This is to all the kids who grew up with this show, who watched Season 2, and just happened to live in America, where the toys for Season 2 were never produced. This is for all the kids who were forced to use the McDonald's toys as a kid because they couldn't find the die-cast ones growing up. This is to all the Hot Wheels collectors out there who have that one holy grail that they just cannot seem to find. This is my holy grail. Everything I've done in the world of Hot Wheels collecting is built up to this one moment. I know it sounds dramatic, but believe me, it's great. So, for those you Battle Force 5 fans out there, for those you kids like me who wanted this toy growing up, but were forced to settle for the McDonald's one because of stupidity and bad distribution, I can get the tape cut. That would be great. Gee, this guy really... Okay, here we go. Here we go. Tape is officially starting to get cut. I probably ruined the weight of this moment, but yeah, there you go. Sorry I'm doing this off camera. It's kind of hard to see behind me. Kind of hard to see when it's in my review space, so I'm cutting it here. But once I get the sides of the box cut open, I'll get this back to you. Okay, now that we're got the tape cut open. So this is to all the kids who are forced to settle for the McDonald's one due to bad distribution. Let me destroy this. Due to bad distribution and poor sales. This is to all the kids who saw the stock images for the Red Sentient Striker track set on Mattel.com, which had Splitwire going down the track, only to find out the set came with reverb. Or was it Buster Tech? I don't remember. This is to all the kids who grew up with Battle Force 5, okay? I don't know. Who else can I dedicate this whole thing to? Get a lot of packing peanuts here. Here it comes. 3, 2, 1. Get out of here, ruining my moment. It is done. Alright, so, Splitwire. I'm kind of trembling right now. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm kind of trembling just because I've... Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Ah, yes. Battle Force 5. Alright, let's actually kind of talk about this car, I guess. Yeah, you can see the paint's kind of wearing off here. Whatever, this is in pretty good shape. All my cars are scratched up, so I basically said to myself, you know what, at least it fits in with the rest of them. Yeah, chrome up here is pretty good. It doesn't appear to have any moving features. In the show, it had this big apparatus that would extend out of the top. It had magnetic-based weaponry and had this big electromagnetic crossbow that could shoot big magnetic balls out of the top. And so I remember as a kid thinking that it would have the big plastic piece of clip on the top. And oh man, this thing is beautiful. Ah. I disrespect thee. I shall fall upon my sword in shame. Yes. There it is. Splitwire. We made it, baby. We made it. 10 long years of searching. 10 long years of checking every Target, every Walmart as a kid, of checking eBay and checking every flea market in my teenage years, checking knockoff Spanish selling sites that wouldn't ship to the United States. It's all built up to this one moment when I can finally see the Battle Force 5 as they were meant to be seen. All 7 cars together as one, together at last. I know this sounds really dramatic, but you have no idea what this means to me, to see this orange right here. Alright, this is... I'm not going to tear up, alright? I promise, but this is beautiful. I know I've wasted 35 minutes of your time for a Splitwire unboxing video, only for just now to get to that. But, yeah. So here's to Battle Force 5. One of the best childhood memories I can really say I have. One of the strangest toy lines of all time. Because really, they produce die-cast cars, and then 1/32 scale cars, and then big boys with the figures. Which, apparently there's one of Splitwire, or at least there's pictures. Doubt it was ever produced. But, there you go. So, for all I know, this might be a pretty common car if you live in, like, Indonesia or something, because that's where I do see a lot of these shipping from. But, yeah. Thank you to that guy in St. Louis who sold me this. It is perfect. Yes, so thank you. Thank you to everyone who's stuck with me throughout this whole journey. I know I haven't really talked about it that much on this channel, but thank you to everyone. My mom, my dad, my brother, my grandpa, may he rest in peace, who went absolutely effing nuts trying to find this car, and it is done. It is done. So, with that being said, thank you for watching this, if you're still watching this, of course. And, yeah, I guess if you liked it, like, subscribe, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter. This video is more for me than it is for you. I just wanted to record my thoughts on camera, because I didn't want this moment to be just lost in time forever. So, here we go. Thank you for watching, I guess, and this has been Rod and Todd signing off.